Oh yes, it is the KNT, and we've got none other than Sammy Graetz to join us. He almost said he wasn't going to answer the phone after Mike Heath boys last week touched up Lucendale, but he was good enough to take the call. Well done, Sammy. How are you?
Yeah, very well, Wayne. I must admit the boys up there played very well last week. So credit where credit's due. They were way too good for us.
Winners are grinners, but, I mean, there's a fair bit that went into this match, and they played a brand of football. They've been building for a few weeks, but I think the second quarter was where they absolutely gave you an absolute thumping. What changed between the first quarter to the second quarter?
Oh, well, I was watching the game, and, I think it was 2 goals of the difference, and I quickly slipped into the club rooms to buy a cold refreshment.
Yes.
And got chatting, and I walked outside, and we were 4 or 5 goals down. I was like, what has happened? So, they obviously just got a real purple patch there late in the second quarter, and they were running the ball a lot better than us. We were probably missing a couple of good running and ball, running carriers of the footy, and they just did a lot better. They flicked the ball out and really overlapped well, and we were just a bit flat-footed and couldn't quite get things going until really after the midway through that third quarter. So they were looking really good. Hender was presenting really well. He was playing a bit higher up the ground, and he was providing a lot of trouble in the first quarter. We put a young Cody Clark on him, and he probably pushed him a bit higher, but really he gave him a lot through that half-forward line. So they were good. We knew they were going to be good, and they're probably hitting some form, right in the middle, and hopefully building up the finals.
Yeah, I think they are, and I'll tell you what, when they scored 14-11 to your 11-11, there wasn't a lot still in it. Your blokes fought back very well late in the game, but was never ever in doubt for the Keith Groves on their home deck. They got a bloke running around called Billy Wade. He's crept up on us a bit to this fellow. He's kicked 31 goals for the year. He's kicked a goal in every game of the season. Only on one occasion against you blokes in round 2, he kicked 1. So you may not have given him the attention that he needed, because he kicked away with 5, and I think that was the difference between the two sides.
He did, Wayne, and literally he's about 4 foot tall, this bloke. He's got a beautiful mullet, and I think that's where he sneaks around, because people probably don't see him over the grass. He's not very big at all, but he's got that beautiful physique. I said he probably is like that Caleb Daniels sort of build, and he's very smart. You've got to be when you're that small, and he actually uses his body really well when he's got a one-on-one. So he is a really good little player, and he gets in and under, and he has a go. So he probably should have had 6 or 7. He missed a couple of easy ones, one from about, I reckon it was just on the edge of the goal square, and he was celebrating as he kicked it and put it straight through the point.
Billy Wade, one to watch. I reckon George Johnson, he's kicked 27 for the season, so he's been a really good player and one of their best. He booted 4. Hender, as you mentioned earlier, was kicking goals, booted 3. And Nick Kane, he was able to score for you blokes, along with Henry Tregower, who booted 3, and Matty Kelch and Sam Williams got multiples, and Riley McFarlane tried hard. Having a look across at other matches, what about this? Mundalla 9-17 over Bordertown 6-8. Tell you what, the Moots, well, after a bit of indifference the week before, they got themselves going against the old foe, and they weren't going to lose a game at Bordertown.
Yeah, we sort of spoke about this one, and they normally have pretty tough games, but I think Mundalla, it wasn't a very high-scoring game. Mundalla kicked a lot of points, but I think they obviously had control of the game and did what they needed to. And I'm pretty sure Jake McGrice, if I heard right, my rumours are right, I hope it's wrong, but I think he's had a pretty bad hamstring injury, so I'll put him out for 3 or 4 weeks. He's had a great start to the season, and he's a massive cog to their machine. So to replace a Jake McBrice, you can't, but they're just going to have to try and work together and cover him while he's out recuperating for a month, I think.
Oh, yeah. Tell you what, Harry Kugel with a couple and Nankerville and also Knoll, they got scoring, and in the end, it was some tough outing on the other side of the ledger. Tommy Whittlesey with a couple led the way, and Lockie Eates that played well. Hayden Shuttleworth always tries hard. Daniel Knoll and Hamish Young, the better players there, young guns there for Mundalla. What about this? It was Border Districts, the upset, one of the big ones of the season, beating Kingston over at Kowree. It's never an easy road trip over there, Sammy Graetz, and you know that too well, and it's not as far for you to travel that extra 50k that it was for those blokes from the Saints, and they came home with very little when they came back over the border. 8-16, 64 to 6-13, 49. A thrilling win by the boys from the border.
It was a great win, and it wasn't as big a shock to me as I thought. We did say that Borders have been finishing the game strong last week, and they just needed to put a bit of pressure on at the start. Well, they did exactly not that. They hit 0-2 to 3-4, but they obviously came home strong. They finished hard, and they got over the line. And they've got some really good young players, Borders. They've got some good recruits, and they, as a club, I know what they're like. They're a great club, and they try hard. They always give it a crack. So they've actually given themselves a chance to make finals, and Kingston would be absolutely shattered with that loss, because that would have, I think they would have gone, comfortably in the top three, and now they're back to fifth. So that's how close it is at the moment. And it's a big game that was.
Oh, wasn't it just that? Fraser Adams and Ben Walter, Mark Quinn always in the best, Nick Shield boots 3, and what about Will Watts? He tries hard. Jacob Fisher, Brandon Tapfield, he's getting the ball, and Toddy Lockwood with a couple for those Sainters. What about this though? It was a big win for Naracoorte, 22-20 to Penola, 6-4. Not much more that you can say about a massive game like that, but Naracoorte with Rory Taggart and Sammy Wilson both booting 5. Very, very good players and a quality outfit, and I think that they're a top 3 outfit, this Naracoorte side.
Yeah, I think they definitely are, Wayne. I think it's starting to evolve a little bit. There seems to be three sides that are probably looking like they're going to be top 3, and I said it last week with Naracoorte, when Taggart, Wilson, Kenan Jacobs, when those sort of blokes are playing well, they're going to be hard to beat. Saw Matty Wilson and Greggy, they both slipped forward and kicked 3 goals. So if their midfielders can obviously, back up Taggart and Wilson, they're going to be really dangerous, because you not only have to shut down their forwards, you've got to shut down their midfield from kicking goals. So we thought there might be, I thought there might be a 2 in front of their score, and they've definitely come out and proved that.
Oh, didn't they? What? 22-20 is a big score, and a lot of 3-goal scorers added to Rory Taggart and Sam Wilson, as you mentioned. Matt Wilson with 3, and Aaron Slurrick and Joshy Gregg, those very good midfielders. And Scott Merritt with 2 led the way for a disappointing Penola, and their season has been probably very difficult. Kowree Naracoorte took on Panthaway, and those Lions, they just keep on purring. There's just something about them that won't lay down, and they've got home and won this match 9-9 to 5-13.
They certainly did. I think Tommy Cooper would have been a pretty happy man, pretty relieved too, I reckon, by the end of the game. And I see he got in the best players as well, so he would have been pretty happy. It was pretty hard fought, though. Like, they were even at three-quarter time. I think it was 2 points in it. And Kowree probably kicked themselves out of it a little bit. They kicked 5-10 to 6-6 at three-quarter time. So to Padthaway's credit, they fought back and just got over the line. So really good game. It's good to see, we keep saying it. Tobin Cox didn't play on Saturday, I don't think, so they had to find some other goal scorers. Young Tom Moyle-Reid kicks 4. He's a handy little player, and he's only going to get better. So would have been a really good match. Stephen Craig from Kowree kicked a couple. He's a big fella, and he provides a good target. So, yeah, good old Padthaway. They just keep putting themselves in contention.
They do. Tom Moore-Reid with 4, and as you mentioned, Marshall's very good. Kicked a couple. Good to see that some of the legends of their club, like Kieran Hicks, been around. Brad Hicks, his dad runs the mechanical workshop in Padthaway, and a good advertiser here on Flow, and great folk, and great to see that side still in the hunt this year. It was Rohena Collins and Tom Woodward doing their best, and Steve Craig with a couple of goals for Kowree Naracoorte, who are having a tough season of it.
No,
and
I think Cody Marshall played 200 games for Padthaway on the weekend too, so congratulations to him.
Yeah, it's a great achievement, isn't it? And having a look at the ladder, you blokes are 9-2. Little bit to maybe a little bit of a ribble, in the road there, sort of for you blokes, because Mundalla, Naracoorte, Keith 7-4, Kingston 7-4. You just get a feel that Keith are starting to roll. Naracoorte are rolling too. Mundalla and Lucendale better look out as we get later into the season. This job ain't done, but Border Districts certainly aren't done yet, and Padthaway at 5-6 behind Kingston 7-4. It looks like Kingston are susceptible in that position on the ladder there, Sammy.
It's actually very interesting, isn't it? I was just saying there's probably a clear 3. I should say there's probably a clear 4. Lucindale, Mundalla, Naracoorte, Keith, and it's actually exactly the same in the B grade as well. So it's going to be a real interesting last 5 matches because I think that the top 4 in both sides follow each other. So, and they're not going to be hard games. So it's going to really come down to percentage, making the most of some of these games where you play the lower sides, and it's going to be a really interesting finish to the season to see who falls in that top 3 because really every side in those top 4 deserve a top 3 spot. But when there's 4 goes into 3, Wayne, it just doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't. Well, you mentioned the reserves. Keith at 9 and 2, Lucindale at 9 and 2, Mundalla at 8 and 3, and Naracoorte at 8 and 3. Then at 6 and 5, Kowree Naracoorte and Kingston, both fighting out for that 5th place, and Penola at 4 and 7. So you'd reckon it's a game in 6 there too in the reserves. Well, the 17s is quite an interesting competition because some really interesting young footballers emerging. Naracoorte at the top, 10 and 1. They're always good. Bordertown at 8 and 3. Kowree 7 and 4. Mundalla 6 and 5. Padthaway and Keith, Padthaway Lucindale, your mob, 5 and 6, and Keith 5 and 6. So 6 sides trying to get into the 5 positions there, Sammy.
It is. And that's what you love. You want to see close country footy because I was only talking to someone yesterday, back when, I remember hearing Nigel Feegett and Stewie Cooper kicking 27 goals against Canova by themselves, and I can't remember floggings like that for a long time. So, and that filters all the way down. It's great. You want to go to the footy every week and see a red-hot competition, and we're very lucky in the KNT that we've got that. We've had it for a few years. So I'll be really excited. The Padthaway Lucindale boys had a great win against Keith because I think Keith were 1 above them. So that put them just above them in the top 5. So it'll be really good for those boys to get another finals berth as well. They haven't been in finals for a few years. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting, and I reckon the 14s that came through from that the Paddy Roos, I just got a feeling that they're now coming through in the 17s because if you have a look at the 14s, you've now got Padthaway Lucindale going real well in 4th. Bordertown, Kowree and Naracoorte, those perennial great sides that Kowree have always had a good under-14s, always a good junior development. Bordertown, always good in the kids there. But border districts come in 5th place, and I reckon that's a changing of the guard with Mundalla and Keith in 7th, 8th and Kingston in 9th. Those 3, Mundalla, Keith and Kingston, have always been good in 14s, and they've just dropped off this year, so the wheels turned a bit there, Sammy.
They certainly have, actually. I haven't really looked at that one. You bring up a very good point. It is great to see the 3 little sides in Padthaway, Lucindale and Borders have got right up there. Even Penola are underneath them, so It is great to see, and it is a funny one with under-14s going up to under-17s. I think we spoke about this last year in a pre-game one. It is really hard when the kids these days all go away to college, so you might have a great under-14s, but then you might lose them all to college. So it is a bit weird in the junior ranks. It's just who you can keep around, and it's great to see some different sides getting up there. It's great.
Certainly is. It's great stuff. All right, the team from the KNT, 10 players selected. They'll be heading to the southeast zone with Western Border and mid-southeast this year, up in what's going to be a massive carnival over the weekend. Of course, we'll have more on that, and also KNT resuming football next week when Sammy Graetz joins us. You have a terrific weekend. Enjoy yourself. I know a bit of a time off for a lot of guys in the local clubs who won't be obviously travelling with the Interleague, so take care over the weekend, Sammy, and I look forward to hearing from you next week.
No worries. Thanks, Wayne.